Hello interwebs and welcome to Closeup. I'm your host Joe.
And I'm Justin.
Today we're doing an Explains episode. Justin explains Demon Slayer to somebody who's never watched Demon Slayer. And if you're new to this format, basically what it's going to be is he's going to make his pitch for Demon Slayer and I'm going to just ask a bunch of questions, either based on things I've heard about the show or things that he says. And he's going to try to convince me to give this thing a try at some point. We're going to try our best not to spoil the show in case you haven't seen it and you might be convinced yourself to watch it. And at the end of the Explained segment, Justin's going to give his review, probably full spoilers on that, for the Demon Slayer movie that just came out. Actually, I don't know if it just came out, but relatively
a couple weeks ago.
Probably even longer by the time this episode's out.
Oh, that's true.
But getting into our medium shot, I will explain, as I did on the last episode, that anime is not my thing. Not because I have an inherent bias against it, but just because it's a world I haven't tapped into yet in my entertainment viewing life. It might be something I will start someday. Well, I did promise to try it by the end of the month to watch my very first anime. It probably won't be Demon Slayer because I feel like that's
a big time investment.
There's a lot there, but yeah, so I'm not inherently biased against this, but if it's a lot, I might be a bit of an uphill climb to convince. But let's get into our close-up, and so in a nutshell, how would you describe Demon Slayer?
Demon Slayer is about a secret organization that trains up to destroy the world's demons, basically. I think it's mostly Japan. I think it's actually limited to Japan, just because the demon outbreak is from one source, basically.
So are there multiple organizations around the world tackling the world's problems, or is...
No. That's why it might just be limited to Japan. I'm actually not sure on that one.
Okay. So all the world's problems are based in Japan.
Yes, that's it.
And we find this out pretty quickly, I'd imagine.
Yeah, within the first couple episodes you understand this. Basically the kickoff is you've got Tanjiro, he's a good kid, I don't know, he's helpful in the village and stuff, and he comes home to his whole family is dead, and his sister is turned into a demon. And that's the core point of the story, is that he wants to, 1, avenge his family, and 2, try anything he can to keep his sister alive, and or maybe convert her back if it's even possible.
Okay. Good motivator.
Yeah, so it's the driving force. You don't get to see a lot of the sister because she's in the backpack all the time. She shrinks down, goes in the little wooden box with no gaps.
She shrinks down in her demon form, or she can grow and shrink?
She can grow and shrink, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she does a lot. Well, not that she grows big, but she shrinks. She shrinks.
And is she dangerous?
Yeah. Yeah, she can definitely be dangerous. All the demons are pretty dangerous, actually.
So is this nearly a vampiric thing?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
She could turn other people into demons? Or only certain demons can turn other people into demons?
That's what I was saying about it being from one source. There is a main bad guy of the series who's introduced very early on, and he looks like Michael Jackson.
Okay.
He's very slick looking. But everything comes from his blood. So if somebody wants to be converted into a demon, he's the one who gets to decide it. Anybody else who kind of gets converted, usually it'll be somebody who's one of the top ranks underneath of him. might have some of his blood that they can use.
So conversion is a special thing.
Yeah, it's...
And why, unless it's a massive spoiler, why is there a reason they chose this girl after killing her family?
No. As far as we know, not really. We're not quite sure.
Seems a bit glaring. A hole to be filled later, perhaps.
Probably. It'll probably be filled.
Eventually. So he's on a quest to fix his sister?
Yeah. So basically, because he's saved by one of the demon slayers, he's like, I'm gonna go become a demon slayer. So it's divided up into different sections, which is pretty interesting to me. That it's kind of like you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yep.
Where it's each one's divided up by an element. He's learning specific things, and they're in different places. This is kind of similar. Each arc, it has a very distinct feel to it. So like you've got the initial training arc, and then where did it go?
Then they do a thing.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe the
and
second arc. The second arc is interesting.
Then they slay some demons, and then they do more things.
Yeah, that's about right. No, but there's distinct feels for each season. Each season kind of has its own point to it.
So are these demons, they're sentient then?
Yes, definitely. They're most of them are all driven by some negative emotion. A lot of them, there's a lot of allegories to like the seven sins or whatever. They're all kind of have their purpose basically. And that's one of the interesting things about the main character is that almost all the demons he kills kind of learn where they went wrong because of his, you know, his upstanding attitude about everything and the way he sees the world. Kind of by the time he's killed them, they're like, oh, maybe I did do something wrong. Maybe I was bad.
And then he wipes the feather in their blood.
No, they kind of disappear. But yes, that actually does happen where you get to see as they're dying, you get a pause into and see a little bit more of their backstory. So it expands upon it first to show you, and then they're like, oh, I see what I did wrong. And that's pretty cool because you don't get a lot of, like in a show like this where the villains come and go pretty quick most of the time, you don't get to see a lot of their motivations. So in this show, you do every single one because there's a point to each one. There's a story behind each demon and why they are the way they are. And that's pretty crucial to what makes Demon Slayer what it is, basically.
So do we mostly get these backstories upon their deaths, or is it a lot of times doled out?
No, it's definitely, it's like full-blown like cutaways when they're dying. That's pretty much where it all comes out, other than a few exceptions.
So do they get to slay a lot of demons per season, or is it usually just one or two of importance?
Really, none of really, well, basically the demons are organized into the lower six and the upper six. So he's got like 12 main generals. And the upper six are basically untouchable, and no demon slayer, even the Hashiras, which are like the high ups in the demon slayer corps, even they haven't been able to kill any of the upper six over the course of like hundreds of years.
So there's all the generals, but there's a lot of low
Yeah.
level ones too.
Like those ones are like fodder. They can be killed pretty easily.
Okay, I was gonna say there has to be a lot of demons to have whole cores to slay demons.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely, there's a lot that are just like really weak and they're really easy to kill.
Like his sister who's in the backpack.
Probably, yeah. She'd probably be pretty weak. But then you've also got your, which is dealt with in the show, because the upper six are so powerful, they don't get to them for a while. But the lower six, if a lower six shows up and is going to possibly be defeated, it's going to be several episodes. It'll probably take like 4 or 5 episodes.
And for context, these episodes are 20 minutes, half an hour,
I think
45 an
they're
hour.
like 26, 27 minutes usually.
Okay.
So they're not like super long, but still over the course of when you're like, oh, that was like 3 or 4 episodes. Like that's a good 2 hours.
So basically it's a movie length just to take out a boss or fight a boss.
Yeah, it can be pretty long. Which is why they compiled everything into movies. So if you want to watch it quick, you can watch the first movie. The second movie is an actual movie. But they basically have each season that they've turned into like a movie or two.
So you can watch the serialized 25-minute to half an hour episodes, or you can watch the abridged movie length versions.
Yeah. Where the second movie had the budget of a movie because it was made as a movie. And it's very clear.
So what is the benefit to spending more of my valuable time watching the longer serialized version when a perfectly good story could have been edited down into that movie length version? Because it sounds to me nearly like a lack of a first editing pass. Like, oh, we could have made this more condensed and still been just as good in the first place.
Well, I think the difference is that it's more faithful to the manga. It includes everything, where people are like, yeah, it's pretty accurate to the manga, where the movie version's probably cut down quite a... I haven't seen any of the recap movies, but I know for a fact that when there's one to cover that many episodes, it's not everything.
Yes.
But I know they can condense stuff. But it is nice to see everything kind of play out. Honestly, if you were somebody who was like just interested in getting the whole story and watching the movies, there's going to be a trilogy of movies that are coming out after this first one that came out. So there's two more after that. If you were interested in seeing those movies, honestly, watching the season recap movies is not a bad way to do it. It's I think it's pretty good. I don't know how much you're really missing. It's just a matter of how you want to watch it. Are you a person who's going to sit down and watch like one episode a day, or do you want to sit down and watch a whole thing? Where they kind of did that with the first real movie, where they spliced it up afterwards into episodes.
Okay.
But when I watched the first real movie, I was like, I really liked that format.
Because I'm of two minds on it. I mean, as a avid fan of TV, I enjoy when TV gets to show you more little moments that movies wouldn't otherwise necessarily, moments that make a world feel lived in, or just little interactions which endear you to its characters that a movie might feel compelled to cut down just to get to the plot of it all. So as a TV fan, I might miss some of those things in the movie version, but as somebody who just kind of wants to get through things sometimes, I'm like, oh, well, there's a legitimate movie version that's just the plot, and it's probably still good. Now, just for some added context here, how much content are we talking about? How long has Demon Slayer been running, and how much is there to get through?
So at the moment, I believe there's 4 seasons of the show.
About how many episodes per season?
I can't remember. I think
We talking a dozen, a couple dozen?
it's quite a bit. I think it's like 18 maybe per season, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
So because there's quite a bit, because a lot of stuff takes a long time to get through in the shows. Like one battle can take 4 episodes to get through, and that's a critique I kind of have on it, is that sometimes I'm like, holy, the episode's over and they're still doing this battle. But
They make their battles super epic.
yeah, they do. This is a shonen, so we talked about that on the last one, where there's seinens and there's shonens. Shonens are more about the action, more about all that. It's still fun to watch. It's good. I'm not maybe I'm not the exact target audience.
You can still enjoy it as not a teenage boy.
Yeah.
But you're not who it's for.
Yes. Yeah. But so what I ended up liking most about Demon Slayer was the movies themselves, actually. The first movie is Mugen Train, and it tells a complete story over the course. You're introduced to a new character who is like a fan favorite character, and then you don't see much later, but he's still important to even to the newest movie,
Okay.
which is pretty impressive that he's only in basically one movie, and he's the most popular character.
That's pretty cool.
So that tells you a lot, that it was done well enough.
And these movies are supposed to be what, the grand finales of a season?
So
or?
that one was the sequel to season 1. And then the next movie after that.
So they're kind of in-betweeners?
Yeah, that was the only one that was in between. Then they continued with the show, and now they're wrapping it up with a trilogy. Okay. So we finally got the first one, a couple weeks ago, and then it's going to be a number of years before the second one comes out.
And when you say they're wrapping it up, you mean it's going to be done?
Yes. So this manga has been completed. I think it was done even before the second or third season was even out. They already had it done. So they've confirmed, they're like, yes, 1, 2, 3 movies, and that's it. That's your complete package. You're done.
And do you feel like the journey thus far has landed appropriately for the ending now?
Yeah, I would say so, because I think that's a major problem when things go on too long, especially when you're into something like this. How powerful can you make the bad guys? How extensive can you make the fights? That there's that power creep where the main character is going to become really, really powerful, and at what point is it just boring to watch if they're just so powerful?
Oh no, we're 7 episodes in. I've spent 2 hours watching this fight.
And I think that's basically they scaled it really, really nicely to the point where, you're going into the trilogy of movies and you're like, are they powerful enough to win? Maybe. We're not sure.
So they're ending it at a point where there's still some questionability.
Yes, yeah. There's still some questionability at the moment. I mean, obviously you could read the manga and figure out the ending, but I'm not spoiling it for myself. I'm going to wait and watch the movies, because the movies are fantastic. It is my favorite part. But yeah, going into the new movie, that, it's kind of that idea where it's like, okay, with superhero movies, how big can you go? Okay, Thanos is as big as you can get because you snap the whole universe away. Like,
Where do you go after that?
Where do you go after that? You can't keep climbing. So I think that they're ending at a really good point because they're basically taking these 3 movies and they're like, okay, these 3 movies are 1, 2, 3, back to back to back, no gaps. This is one conflict. So rather than one conflict being, sometimes some of the longer ones take like 4 episodes to go through. All right, that's pretty long. This one conflict is taking 3 movies because of how extensive and how powerful and how big it's gotten. So they're really going out with a bang with it.
Yeah. I want to go more back into the show before we dive into the movie specifically. So how important to the overall plot are the other demon slayers? Is the organization pretty prominently featured, or is it mostly just Tanjiro?
Once you get to, I would say it's most important getting to like the 4th season is all basically set in the Demon Slayer Corps because they're training for the big mission to come, basically. And that's the entire arc. And there's a lot of characters involved with that. You've got all the Hashira and all the, like, everybody. But the cast slowly evolves over the course of the 4 seasons to the point where you do have a large cast. Which is why it needs so much time to breathe for every character, basically.
And are all those characters fairly diverse in personalities and backgrounds?
Yeah, everybody's pretty distinct. Everybody's got their own thing. You kind of know what they're doing. They're all pretty distinct. And I'm sure if I sat there and thought about it a little bit more, there's probably like specific archetypes or maybe even flaws or something behind each character. It's like it's on the tip of my tongue when I think about the characters. I'm like, I don't know what exactly you stand for, but all of them kind of have their own thing that they stand for.
Okay.
And same with the big demons on the other side. They all have an evil thing they stand for, basically.
So is this show fairly twisty in its execution, or is it more to the point and wow, that's just cool action. I'm just here to see the coolness play out?
It's pretty linear for the story wise, I'd say. But there is emotional depth to it too. There is a lot you can get out of it and think about it, but you don't necessarily have to.
Okay.
To watch the show. You could watch the show with your brain turned off, but turned on. There is a lot there to analyze and look at because there is a lot of complexity to it.
And as far as the action goes, they managed to keep it interesting for such long stretches of time.
Yeah, they do pretty good.
You sound half convinced.
Well, you can only go so far. Like the concept of killing the demons is you gotta with the special swords you gotta cut the head off. How each demon can make it trickier and trickier to cut their head off. They can only go so far with it. But I think over the course, I think that's the thing is there wasn't a lot of actual demon slaying in the 4th season or really even the 3rd season. The 3rd season had a little bit, but more of like an end to the season. So really they built up the first 2 seasons of here's the norm. And then the 3rd and 4th seasons was something different where they didn't have to come up with new stuff to keep that action interesting because they went a little bit of a different direction with it. So that's why each season is very distinct in what it's doing. And I think that's what helps it, that it doesn't get stale.
Yeah, okay. And action scene by action scene, it still doesn't get stale, even though all of them need to be basically executed the same way.
Yeah, they do pretty good. Because they make each demon interesting and have different power sets, and they all have kind of something different going on. And each demon slayer kind of has their own thing too. They learn different like special attacks and stuff. So watching that also helps by throwing in more demon slayers. Makes it more interesting because they all have their own tactics to learn and stuff. So it keeps things fresh. It keeps it pretty good. And sometimes they're like, okay, we're going to have two things going at once that interfere with each other. And it's cool though. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say that. I think if they went one more season, it probably would start to grow stale. Okay. But I think they've paced it very well for what they have. They've done really well how it's been executed.
So in terms of emotional component, is there a main point to the show? Is there a specific arc end goal for Tanjiro they're building towards? Or if that's a spoiler, what are his main flaws and what path is he on?
Yeah, I guess the main arc is really just that the quest for revenge and figuring out what to do with his sister. That's kind of evolved over time, is like, it's been a question since the beginning that it's like, he doesn't really know what he's doing. He knows he wants revenge, but his sister is more important. If he sat at the beginning and it was like, okay, I know what to do to heal my sister or whatever, he would do that. Tanjiro doesn't necessarily want revenge, but he does at the same time. That's not his first drive. His first drive is to save his sister. The problem is he doesn't know how. So his only line of going forward is to go after this revenge and become stronger and hope he can figure something out along the way. And that...
So is he arguably somewhat of a reluctant hero, or does he take on this demon slaying responsibilities and join this clan with pride?
He definitely does it with pride. He's in on it. Like, he starts the show as being the kid who's like, he's not at home when he should have been because he was helping too many people in the town. He's too helpful. Is one of his main flaws, actually.
He spent too long side questing.
Yeah, basically. And then the main plot went on without him. And now he's got to deal with the consequences.
Cool. And I guess his supporting cast are... What are some of their deals? Just as counterpoints.
So one of the fan favorite ones is Zenitsu, who is a demon slayer because he's been forced to be a demon slayer. He basically inherited the moves from his grandfather with his cousin. His grandfather passed it down to them, and they're like the only ones that know that technique.
Okay.
But he is scared of everything. But when he falls asleep, he's amazing.
Spirit ancestors or something
We're
take
not
over.
sure. We're not sure exactly. It's almost like a dual personality, but he's afraid of everything. So he's an interesting character to see because we you watch him evolve over time, but it's taken a long time for him to really come into use. But he's very interesting to follow. If anything, the side characters are what make Demon Slayer. They're more interesting than Tanjiro's. Tanjiro is probably one of the most boring characters in the whole show. Because he's just the do-gooder.
I feel like that happens a lot where your main character's sort of the white bread hero's journey guy and it's everybody else who brings flavor.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you need that solid grounding for a plot to have any resonance, but while you're on the quest, meet all these really cool folks.
Yeah, and then the other main one is Inosuke, who is not even actually a demon slayer.
Okay.
He just took the swords from a demon slayer and started killing demons, and he's just like an honorary member. They just treat him like he's a demon slayer because he acts like one, kind of, but he's crazy. He wears like a boar head on his head, and
So what prevents him from being a legitimate demon slayer then?
just that he never actually went through the trials. So he never actually became official. He's just, but they treat him like he's official because he just hangs around them all the time.
Hmm.
I think that's the thing, is that maybe they just don't know that he's not official.
They're like, oh, this guy kills demons like
He's got the swords. He's just crazy. I don't know.
he's got the swords and he's got the skills, so we younger people just assume.
Yeah, I think they just assume that he's actually a demon slayer.
That's cool. Are there any connecting threads or tissues thematically between all these characters that tie the show together as far as you can tell?
That's a very hard question.
Is there any?
I'd like to say there is.
But
I
just-
just can't point to it.
Not at present.
Just because like each character is representing something, and they all kind of, Tanjiro being the white bread hero guy who's, you know, he's nice to everybody likes Tanjiro.
Mm-hmm.
But Tanjiro kind of shows them their own flaws. Every character kind of looks up to Tanjiro. Even the ones who are more powerful and outrank him still have, even the ones who don't like him, internally they're kind of like, I do get it though. Because there's something about him that makes everybody else feel like they need to do better as a demon slayer and do more.
So you mentioned earlier that the demons are allegories for deadly sins.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them that I've been able to pin that way.
So maybe you might argue that this show is about confronting sins or inner flaws, either indirectly through introspection or directly by just cutting the heads off the allegories.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that I just can't quite pin what the Demon Slayers and the Hashiras actually represent, because they all have something, but they're representing good elements along with flaws. But one of the major points that comes across with basically almost every demon and demon slayer interaction is the idea that, like, the demons are practically immortal. If you can do whatever you want to them, but if you don't cut their head off, they keep going. Versus the demon slayers, who, if the demons get one hit on you, you're not healing from that. So there's this, it's kind of that humanity versus immortality, near immortality, that comes into play a lot because you're seeing that, and it's how easy to gain power as a demon it was. It's very similar to Star Wars, I guess, where it's like, okay, here's the light side, and the fast way to power is the dark side.
Yes, yeah.
But you kind of trade your soul to do it.
Or you can be kind of in this repressive monastic order and find some enlightenment, but you kind of lose out on a lot of life.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
it's pretty similar that way, and you're just not near as powerful. And so that comes into play a lot, that idea that, you know, they're squishy. They can be pretty squishy, even though they try their best. Sometimes it's not always good enough. And then the demons are powerful.
I guess it's the idea that these sins nearly take on an immortal life of their own, and they exist as this oppressive, crushing force, and it requires more forces of good to stand up to. Basically, you need a lot more people just to take on one of these things.
Yeah.
Being good is harder and requires more effort.
Yeah, it's a lot more work, and
Yeah, it's a lot more work, a lot more deadly, and you might not even win in the end. Who knows? You can be powerful doing it. You'll feel better doing it, but it might be a losing battle in the end, and we still don't know.
Especially for the audience when you're like, okay, this battle's been going on for 3 episodes, and then it's like you still don't know. They could lose. You have no idea. Sometimes they do.
So do you have any more points to make about the show proper before we get into the movie review?
Yeah, I'll talk about the animation just a little bit. The animation's good. They do a good job of differentiating the demons and making characters unique. It's interesting enough. And it does a pretty good job. It's good to look at. There's a lot of shots that I would say are probably like poster worthy because they're kind of works of art. It does have a little bit of the back and forth though, where some spots you can tell they put a lot of effort into and some are a little weaker just to kind of get by. But it does make those elements that you can see there's a lot of work put into look really good. So that's always good. Yeah, I think that's all I got for the main series.
So, based on what you've told me about all this Demon Slayer show, it sounds like I'm not necessarily the target demographic for it. Like you said, it's more for teenagers, but it's still enjoyable. I probably will end up watching it eventually. You have piqued my interest in a long form story. As with basically everything, though, I'm not going to get to it forever.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it is intriguing for sure. My goal would be to watch it before the next movie comes out.
Well, you got several years. It's not a next year. It's not I think they said 2027 or maybe 2028. So you got like several years before.
Okay, yeah, so maybe we'll cover the second movie and I'll actually have something to say about it.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Might just. Okay, so now let's move into the recent Demon Slayer movie, which just came out. Does it have a subtitle?
It's Infinity Castle Part 1, I think.
Infinity Castle Part 1.
Yeah.
I think we'll get into full spoilers for this one. Catch up on Demon Slayer if you've been convinced up to this point to watch it, and if you're just here to hear some Demon Slayer discussion because you've seen it all already, well, here's the review of the latest thing. So, what'd you think?
All right. So, the movie. The setup for the movie was the bad guy finally made his reveal. He made his move on the Demon Slayer Corps, and they're going for revenge right away. And all of them have been waiting, like the whole 4th season. They built up the training because they're waiting to make this final battle. They're waiting to make the final push. The bad guys act first and take out their leader. Now it's time for revenge. So they all go. They go to where they think he is, and it's a trap. It's
a trap.
It goes from being a regular building to an infinity castle. It is, as far as they can tell, it's absolutely everywhere. And there was speculation about how it was going to be done. We didn't really know how this movie was going to play out. This movie is a roller coaster ride. It is insane because you've got so many characters going on at once, and this the scale, the way they managed to pull off the scale of this Infinity Castle is crazy. Because like, they'll show like they're the kids who can see through the birds are trying to map it out, and it's like they've got sheets upon sheets upon sheets of like lines going everywhere. And you see it yourself when you're flipping between different characters, and you're like, how far away are they? Like, are they even close to anything? So the scale of this was, they really pulled it off. The animation is a step above everything they've done before. Even the first movie, like the first movie looked way better than the rest of the show. They really went above and beyond with this one. And they brought back the important bad guy from the first movie. We finally got to see him return, and he was the focus of this movie, I would say. And they built up another one that we've seen briefly.
So were these lower six or upper six guys?
We're into the upper six now. This is the end game. The upper six are left. And
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, yeah, he's there. Somewhere in this place, he's there. And they can't find him. So they made some big swings with this one. The only other time we actually saw like a main Demon Slayer character die was in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they made some big swings with this one. They had one character, a really popular character actually, died pretty much like a half hour into the movie, maybe.
That's surprising.
And there's that kind of led to the setup that they're trying to build up. We've seen quite a few of the upper six before, but not very much of them.
Okay.
So they still have a couple that they need to, like 1 and 2 basically haven't been seen. 1 hasn't been seen like basically at all. So I have a feeling that 1 is going to be a bigger part of the second movie in the trilogy.
Yeah.
To set him up, but they set up 2 with this by having 2 kill one of the favorite Hashiras pretty early in and do it like that. Like It was so easy. So it was pretty shocking. There was a big audience reaction when that one happened. But they still got an emotional high, like a win, because we had the bad guy that everybody's like, oh man, the most popular character is only in that first movie and he gets killed by this guy. We're finally seeing him come back, and he gets what he deserved finally.
Okay.
It was pretty awesome. It was great. And Tanjiro has been really weak. Like, he's been getting stronger, but he's still relatively weak. And they basically almost gave him like a Neo power, basically. Like, he got access to like a Neo cheat code, basically. He's figured it out. So now finally Tanjiro is probably up there with the most powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very emotionally satisfying, that act of the movie. But the scale of everything was just done so impressively. They had a giant fight with all the weaker ones.
All right.
We're fighting lots of actually powerful demons, so they really showed more of what it was payoff for the whole 4th season, where they actually showed now how much that training actually mattered, which was the entirety of the 4th season.
you finally see,
You
payoff.
finally
for
get
it.
to see that in play.
All
And yeah, there's a couple characters that I was disappointed we didn't get to see much from.
Okay.
The fact that like Inosuke was basically not in it until the end, where they had him in for like a snippet.
Mm-hmm.
He basically got nothing to do, which was kind of disappointing because like the core cast of the main characters from the first season is Inosuke, Zenitsu, Tanjiro, and Nezuko, his sister. We saw nothing of Nezuko. She was in one brief. We saw her for like one shot. And we saw Inosuke for like a couple shots.
Now, knowing movies as I do, I would assume that the plan is to probably kill off some more characters in the second movie, and that core cast who's been since the beginning will probably be the features of the third one.
I would guess so. See, what made me very confused when I walked out of it, not confused as in like, oh, I don't understand the movie, but confused on what's going to happen next, because the idea of these three movies is it's one big push. There's no going back. The only way they can get out of this is to cut off the main guy's head. And
Battle of attrition.
well, and that's the thing, is that now it's really coming into play, that idea of humanity versus near immortality, because Tanjiro and one of the other Hashiras, you know, it took everything they had. Like, they're basically out. They're done. Like, they borderline were flat dead by the time they finally killed off Akaza. But so you're sitting there and you're like, well, if they're basically out,
What's next?
what's next? Because this isn't we're not going to have a period for them to rest and heal. They're done. Like, usually if they get hurt like this, they're out for a long time. It takes them a long time to heal. So I'm really interested how it's going to go forward.
They got 2 whole movies.
They got more of a cast of characters to use. They do have lots of characters left still. But Zenitsu's out. He got his big conflict. He might come back. He's not as bad as like Tanjiro and Gyu, but they're out. They got 3 of like, I don't know, there's probably like 9, 10 main characters, if I'm counting correctly. One of them died. 3 of them are basically out, and you're like, so we got like 6 left, and we got basically 2 of the upper 6 went down. So there's 4 of them left. So it's like, you're looking at the count, and it's like, okay, the score right now is we're down 4 on this side, and you're down 2 on this side.
Sounds like it's ripe for some Deus Ex Machina stuff.
Yeah, I'm curious how it's gonna go. That's why I think the second movie, I bet you there won't be a lot of Tanjiro in it, and then he'll probably come back for the third one.
Yeah, that sounds about
So
right.
it's a curious kind of setup. I am disappointed that you didn't get to see those characters, but at the same time, I see where they're going with it. It's just, it feels with such a wide cast and such a big concept. I don't know if they're exactly nailing it just because of what they're missing. I think once all 3 parts will be out and you watch it as like one movie.
I was just about to say, I feel like they are preparing this for future longevity.
Yeah.
It feels one way when you have to wait a couple years for it, and that's it. But when you finally get to see the whole show and these 3 trilogy of finales back to back, it'll hit different.
I think it'll play out different.
How long are these movies? An hour and a half? 2 hours?
I think it was like 2.5 hours. It was long.
Okay, let's say the other movies are about the same length, and it's a 7.5 hour finale.
Yeah, it's
instead
a
of
big grand finale.
But so you can sit down and watch that 7.5 hour finale back to back. It'll probably feel a lot better.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's probably what they're going for. It just feels a little weird right now, but it was still really good. It was still really good. I'm just curious how it's going to go forward. Obviously, the story's been tested in the manga and it's just highly, it's very highly praised. So I don't doubt that they'll be able to pull it off. I just think that the way they're doing it is hard right now. But when all 3 movies are out, yeah, it'll probably be much more satisfying.
It's asking for some audience patience.
Yeah. And but that's why I bring up that it's like, okay, yeah, we did get 2 really satisfying moments in the first movie to really get a kick going to it. So that was good, and I think they just having that many characters, having kind of it divided up, you kind of know what the numbers are going to look like just by guessing. But that at least you're going to have in the second movie when we got to wait another bunch of years for the third movie. You're still going to have some satisfying parts. You're going to get some good characters going. And there's not really any characters in Demon Slayer that nobody likes. Like, all the characters are kind of liked.
Not all fan favorites, but all reasonable.
I'm sure that they're going to have pairings that they've got some characters that we don't really know yet, and I'm not sure how they're going to deal with those ones. I'm not sure how they're going to make that interesting unless they use them to take out the one that's killing people right now. I think that's probably the technique they're going to do, because now you care about that villain going down, less about the heroes, but you want that villain to die.
I see. So, what would you rate the movie overall?
Oh, that's a good question.
Not necessarily compared to the series. You can rank it in its own right or rank it as per its position.
I'm gonna say this ranking is gonna depend, because it depends so much on the other movies.
It's a setup movie.
I'm gonna give it a thumbs up for now, because I see where it's going.
But it could easily be mid-tier garbage if it fails to pay.
It could drop if it fails to pay off. But it was really well done. It's a really good start.
Okay. So, any final non-spoiler thoughts? We're kind of back in that territory now. Before
spoiler thoughts.
Any wrap up feelings?
No.
Before we close out? Okay.
No, that's all I got.
You said your piece on Demon Slayer. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at jchurchtpm.
And you can find me on Instagram at ThoughtPlaneMedia. And check out thoughtplane.ca for everything else we do. There's hundreds of posts there for free. And you could donate $1 or $2 there if you like our work and you're feeling generous. We hope to see you on the next close-up. Till next time.
Take care.